السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يعطيكم العافية شباب وصبايا. Our video for today is about nerve conduction or nervous system. And here we are going to discuss this subject from physics point of view, not biology at all. Therefore, as we all know, the electricity generated inside our bodies can serve for control and operation of nerves, muscles, and organs. Essentially, all functions and activities of our bodies involve electricity in somehow. I mean charges or electrical current. Now, the action of our brain is basically electrical process, because we are talking about electrical current, which means we are going to talk about electrical signals through the nerve system. As a summary, I would like to say that we are talking about the nerve signal to or from the brain, which is involve the flow of electrical current. Therefore, to understand the nervous system, we have to understand the structure of the nerve cell, whereas the nerve cell, or sometimes we can call it neuron, considered to be the main block of the nervous system. What you need to understand here, sometimes or usually the nerves cells or the neurons can be grouped in a bundle. As you can see here, the nerve system, and which is consist of cell body, whereas the cell body here contains the nucleus and transfer the information all the way down to the axon. Second, the dendrites, which they are specialized to receive the signals from the neighbor neurons through the synapses and carry them all the way back to the body. Then the axon, and which is the main subject of our chapter, which is the can be defined as a thin, long cylinder that transfers the signals from the cell body all the way to the axon terminal, and the last step, which is the axon terminal, and the information can be transferred through this terminal all the way inside the neuron. Now, we are going to discuss the electrical properties of the axon. At the beginning, let me look at this diagram. This is my axon, and I have a charge difference. I mean, I have positive charge outside and negative charge inside. Because I have positive and negative or difference in the charge, therefore we will have difference in the electrical potential. Therefore, we can say the following: we will have two types of the potential: resting potential and action potential. Whereas the resting potential can be defined as the electrical potential difference between the inside and the outside of the axon, whereas there is no signal at all. Now, the second potential, which can be defined as the following: when dendrites of the nerve cell respond to a action or stimulus, they will generate an electrical signal along the area by producing an action potential. So, as a summary, we can say the resting potential when there is no signal, and the action potential when there is a signal. Second property of the axon, which is resistance. As you can see here, I have, like, let me assume the axon with cylindrical shape, as you can see here. Therefore, we have the main axis of the axon with length L, and I have a axoplasm or the fluid between them, and I have the membrane, the membrane cell. Now, what you need to know the following. We have a resistance R of length L along the axon to the current passing through the axon, and this resistance called axon or axoplasm resistance, which can be defined as the resistivity times L divided by the cross-sectional area. We can substitute the amount or the magnitude of the cross-sectional area with pi r squared. The second resistance you need to know, which is the resistance of a unit area of membrane to a leakage current, which is labeled by Rm, and we have a portion of the membrane with the surface area has a resistance. We can call it R prime, which is the membrane leakage resistance, which can be defined as Rm divided by 2 pi RL, whereas 2 pi RL is the surface area. For example, calculate the axoplasm resistance of 2 centimeter long segment of myelinated axon of resistivity and diameter of 6 micrometer. Let me remind you with the following. Here we are talking about three different resistance. The axo or the resistance along the axoplasm, which is R, the resistance of a unit area of membrane to the leakage current, which is R sub M, and the membrane leakage resistant, which is R prime. And you need to know the difference between each one. Now here, the question is asking me to calculate the axoplasm resistance, which is R, whereas R is rho times L divided by A. We have the length, we have the resistivity, but we don't have the area, or actually the cross-sectional area. Go back to the question. What given here is the diameter, so we can calculate the radius, which is half of the diameter, which is 3 times 10 to the minus 6 meter. Then go to the definition of area and calculate the cross-sectional area. Therefore, it's easy to plug it back here and get the magnitude or the amount of the resistance. Second example, calculate the membrane leakage resistance, which is R prime of 2 centimeter long of unmyelinated segment of axon with diameter and resistance of unit area membrane to leakage current, which is 2 ohm times meter square. Okay, R prime, which is Rm or R sub M, divided by the surface area, which is 2 by RL. Everything here is given, but you need to pay attention that you need to convert from centimeter into meter and from micrometer into meter to get the membrane leakage resistance. Third, we are talking about the capacitance. As you can see here, this is part of the membrane, and we have here accumulated charges, but be careful. We are talking about, when we are talking about the membrane, we are talking about thin, flat plate with 2 opposite charges. Therefore, we can deal with this as a capacitor. Then we can calculate the capacitance of the axon, which is equal to Cm times the surface area. Here, C sub M is defined as the capacitance of a unit area of the membrane. Let us solve this example. Calculate the capacitance of 2 centimeter long of unmyelinated segment of axon with radius 2 micrometer and capacitance of a unit area of membrane, which is 0.01 farad divided by meter square. Okay. In other words, we are going to calculate C, We know C equals the surface area times the membrane or the capacitance of a unit area of membrane. Plug the numbers, then you will get C equals 2.5 nanofarad. In other words, we take or we consider the axoplasm and the membrane as a model, and we model it using a cylindrical wire. For number 4, we are going to talk about the space parameter. In other words, we are going to see how far the current can travel before most of it has leakage or leaked out through the membrane. In other words, we are going to calculate the distance for which the resistance, I mean the resistance along the axoplasm equal the membrane, the resistance of the membrane leakage. Both of them are equal. Do some algebra, then you will get the space parameter equals square root of r sub m times the radius divided by 2 times the resistivity. And here we are talking about distance, which means the unit of lambda is in meter, and you can check this by taking the units and plug them here. Example, what is the space parameter for axon of radius 3 micrometer if it's unmyelinated or myelinated? Now, I will solve part A with you and leave part B for all of you to do it as practice. Here, the space parameter, which is square root of r sub m times the radius divided by 2 times the resistivity. We have the radius, but it's in micrometer, so we need to convert it into meter, which is times 10 to the minus 3 for r sub m and rho and the resistivity. You should go to chapter 18, table 18.1 to get these constants. Plug the numbers, then you will get lambda, or the space parameter, equals 3.9 times 10 to the minus 4 meter. Please do part B and compare the result between A and B. Thank you, and see you in the next chapter.